This is the Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, the Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famer Mike Van Diest joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
The Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Hey, happy Thursday. The Jason Walker Show, presented by Capital Collision Center, inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave. And we have a big show coming up today here inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave. We are going to check in with Mark Adams, former Rocky basketball coach, current ESPN basketball analyst, and get his thoughts on what it's like to broadcast in a COVID environment. Plus, he's got a book and a new scholarship, an endowment named after him. He'll explain coming up. It's going to be a great show. That's coming up here in about 15 minutes. In just a couple of minutes, we'll check in with Trevor Funseth, the Mop. The Cinderella story continues for Montana State Gaming. It's awesome. And we'll also check in down at Fort Worth with Becky Christensen-Mapston and get the thoughts on the breakaway roping that wrapped up today for the first time national finals, and much more all coming up. Your Montana COVID update, that's how we start each day, and it's presented really without comment, just the numbers. 779 new cases, 70,892 since March, 781 deaths, 488 currently in the hospital. There are 17,117 active cases, 52,994 have recovered. Those are your numbers for COVID on this Thursday, December the 10th. You can watch on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Also listen live on TreasureStateRadio.com, Podbean, Network One Sports. Go to JasonWalkerShow.com anytime. And you can tweet us at JWalkerSports. Email us, Jason@JasonWalkerShow.com. We're going to start, before we get to Trevor Funseth, some disturbing video, really. And it's not, I don't know what's going to happen to this dude, but if anything, he needs to be arrested. I mean, we talked about a player assaulting an official last week, right, down in Texas, and how he was arrested for a Class A felony, Emmanuel Duran. And we talked to Amanda Outwell, sports director down in Edinburgh, Texas, about it on Monday here on the Jason Walker Show. Well, check this video out from Florida, from a youth league. What is that? Did you see that? They'll show it again. Yeah, they'll show it again. That's a coach hitting a player twice in a youth championship league. The kid can't be much more than, 7, 8, 9? Yeah, watch this again. Watch this again. Hits him once, right in the side of the head. And that's a punch, my friends. That's not just, Woody Hayes grabbing a helmet, or Bo Schembechler. And then he barks at the crowd, and then goes back and hits the kid again and knocks him to the ground. He should be arrested and, like it said there in the comments, and banned for life. That's just unbelievable. So he issued an apology. This is nuts. So it's a 7U, or it's the 9U head coach 9U head coach. Here's his weak attempt at an apology.
Everybody done seen the video, and everyone have something negative to say. You know, I'm going to apologize for my actions about what took place. But at the end of the day, I am a man, and I'm not going to make no excuses for what I did. I was wrong. I shouldn't have disciplined him in public. I should have waited till we got back for doing what he did. At the end of the day, I apologize to him, the kids, the city down here, and my family back at home. I do apologize. There's no excuse for my actions, you know. I hope, well, he forgave me, and his parents have forgiven me. So nobody else should be bashing me. Thank you.
That's a pretty weak attempt at a public apology. I mean, seriously, what was this dude thinking? So it was the Savannah Gators 7U team from Georgia. Apparently he's the 9U coach. They were down in Kissimmee, Florida. Man. And an investigation is underway, as it should be. And the dude should be arrested. I don't think why are they waiting this long to arrest him? They arrested the football player last week, Emmanuel Duran, down in Texas, immediately. Now, like he says, I ain't going to make no excuses for what I did. I was wrong. I shouldn't have disciplined him, hit him in public. I should have waited till we got back. What, were you going to beat his ass somewhere else? I mean, seriously. His parents should sue him. He says that he forgave him and the parents forgave him. So there's no excuse for the bashing. No, there is. You beat a kid in public. I mean, the NFL took care of Adrian Peterson for a few games. And that was in the privacy of his own home. This is in public. This is on video. Dude needs to be arrested immediately and barred from coaching any sport ever again. You don't hit kids like that. Jackass. All right, let's lighten the mood here on the Jason Walker Show on this Thursday. Nicole just got a comment on Facebook from her. As a coach myself, there's no such thing as an apology for that. It's flat out assault. The child's guardian should seek legal counsel. Amen. You're absolutely right, Nicole. The dude should be in jail. Keep your comments coming on Facebook at JWalkerSports and more. Go to Jason at JasonWalkerShow.com for email. All right. So last night, unbelievable. I'm following along. I'm waiting to get the results. So last night was the Fatal Four, the semifinals of the College Gaming Championship with Barstool Sports. And there's a team, the Cinderella team from Bozeman, Montana. 4 kids from CMR. 3 that play the game, Call of Duty. And Charles the Butler. You've got the Mop talking smack on how they were going to take down Seton Hall. And the Cats did it again. Cinderella, the shoe is still fitting perfect. And to join us now to chat about the win and a kind of subdued celebration is once again Trevor Funseth, the Mop, joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. First off, man, congratulations. We were just chatting, and you didn't think, take me through last night. It's like a buzzer beater again for you guys.
Yeah, so once again, extreme underdogs, and we actually played really well for the first half of the match, and we were leading, and then they passed us going into kind of the end of the round, and we thought it's pretty much over. They took a fairly good lead at the end, and then buzzer beater as time expires. We had an incredible game, finished up, and ended up beating them by 10 somehow, some way.
I mean, this is unbelievable that you guys are a 14 seed, and really it came down to you last night, and I saw the highlights and showing some of them now, but you were clutch.
Yeah, I told them in the interview, it's what we do. We're the most clutch team in the league. The pressure doesn't get to me. If we're in a final game, I play it like I would play any other game.
Subdued celebration last night. Was it because you didn't expect to win?
Yeah, we really didn't. We're going to roll with it now. We pulled all sorts of celebrations out, though. I had my pants off at one point. It was a wild night.
You took your pants off? I mean, obviously nobody could see, but...
No, I'm sure you saw the video last week where I ripped my shirt off.
Yep.
And then, so this week, everybody in the chat saying you got to take your pants off. So I did rip my pants off, but I had golden boxers on underneath them. So I'm always prepared for the moment.
You are the man. The mop, Trevor Funseth, joining us here, Jason Walker Show. All right, another upset last night is GCU, Grand Canyon, knocks off the top seed Notre Dame. The overall #1 seed is gone. Does that help you guys a little bit, or does your mentality change at all?
I mean, we were definitely expecting to face Notre Dame, but whoever we're facing, we're going to play our game. We're going to do what we do, and we're not going to worry about what's going on the other side. So we've got these Grand Canyon guys. We're the underdogs once again, but I'm not sure that means anything anymore. We're just going to play our game.
Your video last week, your hype video, was pretty cool. You guys, where were you? It almost looked like Little Bear Road where you're out shooting the guns.
Yeah, we were out right by Lincoln, actually.
Oh, okay.
And so now we have to come up with something this week to trash talk Grand Canyon. We've got a few ideas in the works, but we'll see what we come up with.
The celebration from the guys that come in while you're talking to the two announcers, I mean, everybody's just super jacked last night. I mean, I was following along as best I could just because I knew that we were going to talk today. And I told you last week, you're going to be on again. You didn't believe me.
Yeah, and here we are. And, yeah, those are my roommates. But, I mean, I can't keep up with my Twitter right now. Just thousands of comments and DMs and tweets from people way more famous than me saying they're rooting for America's team. This has really gotten out of hand, honestly.
It kind of has. Trevor Funseth, the mop, joining us. Some of these guys, celebrities, who's tweeted at you?
My favorite one so far is Scott Hansen from NFL Red Zone.
Nice. This is awesome, man. You guys didn't expect to even be in this situation, but you've been riding the wave. You've been riding the Cinderella story. This is just really cool. I mean, Christmas is going to be awesome with your families now because you've got something to brag about over everybody else.
Well, nothing to brag about yet. We haven't won anything yet, Jason. So I'm not celebrating at all. We still got a match to go, and if nobody remembers second place.
That is very true. Do you? When is the match? Is it next week or in 2 weeks?
Should be next Wednesday, same time.
Next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Mountain on Twitch. You can go to Barstool, right? Is that it?
Yep.
MSU?
Yep, Barstool, Montana, or Barstool Sports.
Montana. And, it's the College Gaming Championship. I know you're going to be busy scouting GCU. I mean, the lopes, the cats. Does anybody know what a lope is besides an antelope? And we're good at shooting those things down, right?
They're kind of really an unknown team, but they're down there in Phoenix, and 2 weeks ago we already beat one Arizona team. So we're scouting them out. It seems like they have one really good player and two that aren't so great. So we're actually thinking we can handle them, but we'll see what happens.
Well, man, I'm looking forward to chatting with you next week after you become a national champ. And I know I put the pressure on you last week. I'm going to do it again. But let's not have a heart attack buzzer beater. Let's just clean up, get it done. Let's just knock it out of the park early next week.
Okay, the odds are against us, but I really hope we're talking next week. And we would love to, we could bring a national championship to MSU this week, which would be incredible.
That would be awesome. And I believe it would be the 13th overall. Not that they'll claim it at MSU, but it would be the 13th overall national championship in school history.
If we win, I'm sending email after email, phone call after phone call, making sure it's hung up somewhere. Get us a banner.
I like it. We hang it in the field house, and we have a big celebration next year in front of like Cat Grizz or something like that.
Yeah, you can help me get that through.
I will definitely help you, my friend. Take care. We'll talk next week, and good luck, my man. And keep those fingers going. Don't strain anything this week. Make sure Charles is helping you out, and we'll talk next week.
All right. Thank you very much. And we practice every day. We practice till we puke. There is no stopping the grind. And I'll see you next week.
It's gaming. I don't even game anymore. And I never played Call of Duty. But these kids are just wiping up. There's 4 kids from CMR, 3 that play the game, and then Xavier Pace, who is Charles the Butler. Oh, my goodness. Follow Trevor at TP Funseth on the Twitter. It's a great follow. Make sure you go to Barstool Sports and then Twitch TV next week, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, the championship, Montana State and Grand Canyon University. Oh, it's going to be fun. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. The Jason Walker Show is presented by Capital Collision Center. Montana State law says it is your vehicle. It is your choice where you have it repaired. We'll talk to former Rocky coach and current ESPN basketball analyst Mark Adams next here on the Jason Walker Show.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana State law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Welcome back, Major Mortgage Man Cave, Jason Walker Show, presented by Capital Collision Center. This segment brought to you by Rucker's Furniture. Make the quality choice for your home at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena. Still to come from Dallas-Fort Worth. We'll check in on the NFR and Breakaway Roping National Championship with Becky Christensen-Mapston. Rebecca will join us coming up here shortly. Also on this day in history and the walk-off before we get out of here. All right. So Rocky Mountain College is a rival of everybody in the Frontier Conference. They are the only team, men's side, to win a national championship in the Frontier. Bill Drykosen getting that done 11 years ago. But Rocky had struggled for a long period between the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, and even the late 50s, if you go back that far. But then a guy came in by the name of Mark Adams and completely changed the culture. And he joins us now on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline to chat about an endowment, his book, and what is it like to broadcast basketball games in a COVID environment. Mark Adams now on the Jason Walker Show. First off, congratulations on being able to do a little bit of work. And I'm excited about asking you some of these questions I have. But I want to start off with, how have you been? Because we haven't talked, I guess, since March when everything got shut down.
You know, the last time we talked, I was on my way to Fort Worth, Texas to call the American Athletic Conference tournament. And on the morning that I was supposed to broadcast, that is when Rudy Gobert, came down with COVID. The Ivy League canceled all their games. And next thing I knew, I was trying to figure out a flight to get home. And, you know, Jason, life hasn't been the same since. I mean, for all of us, right? And I'm fortunate to still have my job at ESPN. I just did 5 games, 11 days. In fact, I was on the road for all of those 11 days. And Jason, I got to tell you, I bubble wrapped myself. I mean, I'm becoming more like my dad. You know how your dad would go on the road and they drive everywhere? I drove to Kansas City from Ohio, which is 9 hours, and then another couple hours to Wichita, and then 12 hours home. I got home at 4:30 in the morning on Monday. And, you know, I just had bags of food and stuff and coolers. And I even took an exterilizer ultraviolet ray lamp with me that I would set up in my room and then radiate the place for like 30 minutes and then come back in. And I had a safe haven inside the hotel. So, you know, it's just what we have to do. And I love my job and I'm willing to do it. But I decided I would drive everywhere I need to go. Now, fortunately, I'm sitting here looking at my new broadcast station that's set up in my office, right in my backyard. I built an office in my backyard, and I'll be doing most of the games from home now remotely.
Have you done any remotely yet? Because that's just intriguing to me, and I'm seeing it done at all levels from, you know, all sports, and it's very different.
It is different. Now, I've done remote broadcasts from studios. I used to go to Bristol or down to Charlotte, and on occasion I would be down there to call games from the studio. In this case, I have my own studio now, right here in my home office. I haven't done a game yet, but on the 22nd, I've got Tulsa at Memphis, and I'll be doing that right here from home. But Jason, it's really interesting. I've done it for the last 4 or 5 years now, some remote broadcasts, and the difference will be I will literally be by myself. Before I was with my play-by-play partner. We would generate our own enthusiasm. You've got to kind of get into your own routine. I mean, I still stand for the anthem in the pregame. I used to always give my play-by-play partner an arm bar before we start to get him kind of fired up, you know, to get physical with him. And I just generate my own enthusiasm. I mean, I love college basketball, as you know. It's an honor to be on ESPN now, my 22nd season. And I won't have any problem getting into games even right here in my own backyard.
Well, that's even better. What's it like in this COVID environment, Mark, to broadcast from a place that's empty? There's no fans. You're not really. I don't know if you've been courtside or like a lot of the guys stuck up in the rafters. But what is it? Yeah. What is it like?
Well, first of all, it really hit me at Wichita when they played the national anthem, because Wichita is the only place where, first of all, they sell out every game. It's an unbelievable environment there. And there were no fans. And the difference was, Jason, that in Wichita is the only place I go to where all the fans actually stand and sing together the national anthem. They don't bring in people to sing it. They do it themselves, and it's so wonderful. My son is a captain in the United States Army up at Fort Riley, Kansas, and so it really hits my heart when I hear those 10,000 Americans in full throat singing the national anthem. And that really hit me at Wichita. ESPN has protocols in place that we adhere to. So when I go to an arena, I'm masked. I get to my broadcast booth, which has to be a minimum of 25 feet away from the court. And so typically I'm in the second tier of the arena, which actually is good for me because it separates me a little bit from the game, where I'm an X's and O's guy, and I'm defensive. I have defensive vision would be the best way to describe how I call a game, because I'm always thinking about why something happened. And so all the video that I watched over the years as a coach, it's really a better vantage point for me to truly break down the game. And then the other difference is, Jason, that I'm literally between 15 and 20 feet away from my partner. So once upon a time, I give him an arm bar, or I could send him a note as to what I wanted to talk about next, things like that. Right. Yep. Obviously, that's not possible anymore. But the way we're set up at home now, for your viewers, this is fascinating. Off air, I'll be able to talk to my play-by-play partner during live action to tell him what I want him to set me up with. I can also talk to my producer, which is normal. Always do that. But there's ways I can talk to my statistician to get that information off there as well, and also ask for all the replays that I want. So it's definitely a different environment. It's a more technical environment because, I've got to know which buttons lead to what, right?
Right.
and it's literally done all on Zoom calls. We're literally going to be on Zoom calls, and I've got several monitors where I've got different camera angles that I can watch on the different monitors.
That is awesome, honestly. I mean, I'm a little jealous now. My studio's pretty basic. He is a college basketball analyst for ESPN. Mark Adams, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. You mentioned Fort Riley, Kansas, and your son. My son, Bob, is actually working with a Blackhawk crew. He is stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas.
Really?
He's coming home in a week, but that is where he's been for the last year.
We may have crossed paths. I actually stayed with Jimmy. We quarantined together for 4 days before Jimmy went back on base on Friday. And then Jimmy invited me to come on base because it was spouses weekend. And the spouses got to go and fly in the Apaches. And I got to see the drones flying and landing and stand next to a drone. I got my picture next to an Apache. We actually did it on ESPN. We showed it on ESPN. And it actually made the brigade's Facebook page, as a matter of fact. So, I'm big at Fort Riley now, Jason. I'm a rock star there, man. But it was so much fun, and you should be very proud of your son, just like I am. The level of professionalism, they're buttoned up, they're squared away. I mean, I was blown away by the level of professionalism and the level of service that all these young men and women give to us. And, of course, your son, like mine, will be going to Europe on their next rotation together. So I'll have to ask Jimmy if he knows your son.
Yeah, I'll ask Bob, too, because that's pretty cool. So how old is Jimmy?
Jimmy's 28 now.
Okay.
He graduated from the University of North Georgia, commissioned. And so now he's in charge of Echo Company. He's the commander of Echo Company.
All right, I will ask Bob if he knows of Jimmy, and that's awesome. They can hang out. I mean, we're a small world, right?
It is. It really is.
Sports is a small world. Fraternity.
Yeah.
Mark Adams, our guest here, Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of things before we talk about what I really reached out to you before. The Maui Invitational was played in North Carolina. How weird is that?
Well, whenever Bill Walton does a game, it's always weird.
Very true.
And I love him. Yeah, I enjoy listening to him some of the time. Other times, I feel like I'm on some crazy Jerry Garcia acid trip or something, and I've never done that before. So it's interesting to experience it, I guess. But it was unusual. But these are unusual times, and at least we have basketball. I've told so many of my colleagues and other coaches that every game is a great game. Any game that we can play is a great game. And I'm just so thankful to ESPN, for example. They test me every week for COVID. They ship a in-home COVID test to me. I test every single week. Every precaution they can make to keep me safe, either by broadcasting at home or in the case earlier, I was traveling some. They've done an excellent job of that, and I'm so grateful that ESPN has been flexible, not only with the game sites, but with people like me as well to help keep me safe. And it's a great company to work with.
Did you see Coach K's comments the other day about, well, you probably did because you're a college basketball guy and you're super smart, but he said that maybe why are we playing right now? Maybe we should wait until the vaccine comes out, push it back to May Madness or even June Madness, but you can't not have the tournament, but there's got to be a better way. We're seeing so many games canceled right now. What are your thoughts on Coach K's comments?
Well, first of all, let's look at the facts. Every night, 80 to 85% of the scheduled games are being played. And there are people who are being exposed to COVID, and that's across the country. However, I will say this, knowing the protocols that the student athletes and the coaches go through, and that I go through just to call a game, that we're probably in the safest space that we can be in. That if you cancel the season and players go home, there's a far greater likelihood that more people are going to get sick from that. That's my own personal opinion, and I don't want to politicize this in any way. That's just my opinion. And while Coach Krzyzewski, certainly we should all respect his opinion, I respectfully disagree. And the reason I disagree is because we're literally playing in empty arenas. These student athletes are tested 3 times a week and typically tested just before game day to make sure that everybody on the floor is negative going into the game, along with me and other personnel that are in the arena. And these arenas are huge, and we're spaced out to where we don't have any contact. So I don't think playing college basketball games is the problem. I think that folks that don't wear a mask, they don't distance, they don't take it as seriously as I do so I can perform my professional responsibilities. That's the problem. And again, while I respect Coach Krzyzewski, I think that the players are in a much better environment, a much more safe environment because of the protocols than they would be if we just sent them home.
Interesting. I love your opinion. ESPN college basketball analyst Mark Adams, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. All right. So I reached out to you the other day because Rocky Mountain College reached out to you and basically started an endowment in your name with the Rocky men's teams when you coached in Billings, from 82 to 85. This is kind of a cool deal. So congratulations, and take me through this.
Thanks, Jason. I hope I don't get emotional when I start talking about it. It's just, so we talked before, and Marissa, my niece, and she was, cancer survivor, thriver now. She's doing unbelievably well. And, Rocky, I've had a special connection with Rocky since 82, 85. And to give your listeners a little bit of historical background, Rocky hadn't been to the NAIA tournament since 1951. They had gone through 17 consecutive losing seasons. I was hired as a 25-year-old head coach. The way I got the job was that it paid $15,000 a year, and nobody else wanted it. That's how I got the job. And, we went on a 3-year run there where we end up winning the District 12, the NAIA District 12 championship. Now, let me put that into context. There were almost 600 NAIA schools during that time. Wow. Only 32 went to Kansas City for the national tournament. So think about that. Now we've got 350 Division I schools and 68 get to go to the NCAA tournament, So it was very, very special. I had such a wonderful group of guys. And, we end up losing to Fort Hays State, who won the national title in a very competitive game in the first round of the NAIA national tournament. And it really is one of the most special memories of my life. And it's a special memory for all the young men, and now we're all old men, and we got together in 2019 for my induction into the Rocky Mountain College Hall of Fame, which only took 34 years, by the way. So I wasn't exactly the first round draft choice, of Rocky Mountain College, but eventually I made it. And what happened was that weekend, Jason, it was just surreal. To reconnect with my guys, we had stayed in touch over the years, but to reconnect that weekend, and Rocky saw it. They saw the president, Heather, in the development office. They saw the culture that we had and how special our relationships were. And so Jimmy Clark, who played for me from Hamilton, Montana, played for me in the 82-83 season while we were turning the program around. He called me about a month ago and said, Mark, we have an idea. We'd like to start an endowment scholarship in your name. And the first thing that came out of my mouth, Jason, was, but Jimmy, I'm not even dead yet. That was my first response. He goes, well, you don't have to be. I said, well, that's good. So anyway, we thought about it, and I said, look, I'm honored, but I wanted to honor our era. I want to be named not just for me, but for the 1982-85 Championship Battling Bears Endowment Scholarship. And so we named it that. It was just announced this week that we're starting the endowment, and people are starting to already, make donations. It can go, you can write a check to Rocky Mountain College and then earmark it, Mark Adams Endowment Scholarship. You can also go on rocky.edu/giving. And you can make a donation there. Same thing. You just got to earmark it for the Mark Adams Endowment Scholarship. And it's just a tremendous honor. But the other thing is I've been reaching out to players, and they've been reaching out to me, is that this isn't just about the scholarship, which will go to a men's basketball player that best exemplifies the grit, the perseverance, the determination of the Battling Bears from that era. And the great thing about it is that now with the scholarship that'll be in place, that we don't want it to just be a scholarship. We want it to be a family that reunites every year. And so we've made a commitment, all of our players, coaches, everybody, either over homecoming or during the summer, whenever we just want to go out and have a beer together, we're going to get back to Billings, Montana, and we're going to celebrate together every single year because Jason, Bill Breeding, who played for me, was a 7'2" All-American, was drafted by the Utah Jazz, passed away almost 15 years ago. And Bill's the one guy that we've lost from this team so far. And, one thing I've learned in life, it's finite. And I want to enjoy every second of it, especially with these special guys. And so if you remember that era, if you were part of it, if you're one of those crazy fans in the stands as we're kicking Sioux Falls' ass to go to Kansas City for the first time since 1951, think about supporting this scholarship. Help Coach Zydeco and the Battling Bears continue this tremendous run that we've had since the 80s. And I'm just so proud. And listen, I thank you, Jason, for recognizing and having me on. I think you can tell from my voice that I'm just overwhelmed and so grateful and honored that my name would be associated with this great era.
Well, it's very cool. I actually took a couple of pictures off of your Facebook page, one from the your Twitter page, but one from the 2019 gathering. And then there's an older one that everybody has hair, including yourself, which is great. But it says NAI National Basketball Champions. I know you didn't win the national championship, but what year is that picture from?
That's from the 84-85 team.
Okay.
And that was just before we went out and played on national television. And Billings was electric, Jason. We basically ended up the number 32 seed. We were playing the number 1 seed in Fort Hays State, and we gave them everything they wanted. I mean, we battled those dudes. We did not win that game, but boy, I tell you what, there are no such thing as moral victories, but man, we played our tails off, and that was taken literally right before we went on the court. And, I told this story too. There's a gentleman named John McClendon. If you have any questions about Coach McClendon, just go out onto Google and put Mark Adams, ESPN, The Secret Game, and you'll see an article that I wrote about it back in 1944. I wasn't alive then, by the way. But back in 1944, when John McClendon, he was the head coach at North Carolina Central, which at that time that was called North Carolina College for Negroes. Mm-hmm. And Duke Medical School was undefeated. His team was 26-1. And he sent a messenger to play a game. Now, this is during Jim Crow laws in Durham, North Carolina. They weren't allowed to play. So the Duke players snuck over across town on a Sunday morning when everybody was in church, and they played a game. And North Carolina coach's team, Coach McClendon's team, won 88-44 that day, by the way. And I met John McClendon, who's a tremendous civil rights leader in his own right. And, I kept the towel. I have the towel in my office that I had on my shoulder. In fact, that towel that you see in that picture, it's literally 5 feet away from me right now. I've kept that towel over the years. And I used it to honor Coach John Thompson this past weekend. His coaches draped a towel over their right shoulder. And I used that to honor not only Coach Thompson, but his mentor, Coach McClendon. And I met Coach McClendon in Kemper Arena in 1985. And I still have that towel today. What is it, 35 years later.
Wow, that's a great story. And the story behind that game is fantastic, too. And I actually read about it in Kansas City a couple years ago. And I may have read your article, actually. But that's such a great environment. I love that tournament. And I hope I get to go back someday. And I know it's a little different and it's going to be changing. But I'll have to have you on to talk NAI tournament because that's some fun stuff. Mark Adams, our guest here.
Coach Zydeco and what a job he has done. He won a national title.
Yeah, the only one.
And yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and he still gives that 80, 82, 85 era. That's kind of when it all started. That's when we started laying the foundation, and Bill's been wonderful, just wonderful to me.
Well, he dresses a lot like the 70s and 80s, so when he's on the court in those green plaid pants. I love Coach D. He's great. You also, Mark, we talked about this a little bit, but you've got a book out on Amazon, and it's called The Coach and the Geek, Building a Kick Butt Culture. And I'm excited to read this, and I appreciate you sending me a copy. I can't wait to read it. But take me through this book because for those that weren't with us in March, this is an interesting story. It's fictional, but it's a lot of real life in it.
Yeah, it's loosely, maybe even not even loosely, primarily based on many of the experiences I had 17 years in coaching. And Rocky, you'll see in the book that Rocky, my experience with Rocky is very influential. It's based on a fictional school called Bozeman Tech, and they're playing Great Falls and Butte and everybody else, just like we did in the old Frontier Conference days. But really, it's based on a story that my co-author and I, Jeff Van Fleet, he's the geek, and it's based on Coach Woodward, who is in the last year of his contract. He's really struggling with the need to win and keep his job versus to do what coaches really should do, which is develop his young people into successful, sustainable, professional people. And we get into how to use technology and how we can communicate better, how we can listen better. As a coach, how we can connect better. We did a survey, Jason, which was fascinating to me. We surveyed student athletes across the country, and we asked them, how many times do you meet with your head coach, one-on-one for 15 minutes or more? The options were once a week, once a month, or never. 52% of respondents said never. And the geek and I, Jeff Van Fleet, started wondering why. You know, when I coached, the most important thing on my agenda every day was to help my guys graduate, to be better fathers, better husbands, better people. And hopefully I connected on a high level, and I believe that I did. And so we started thinking, how could we use technology to enhance the experience between a coach and a player? And we did it in two ways. One way is on the floor, where we've developed a platform called Focus that you can track hustle stats. Things that don't take talent, just take concentration and effort. We also developed Focus off the floor, and the book kind of gets into this, not quite to this detail, but it'll give you an idea. But also Focus for off the floor, where coaches meet with their players. They set specific activities that fulfill them, that help them to connect with people, that make their day better. And the coach and his players get together. And I actually did this, and this part of the book is very, very true as to how I connected with my players. After every chapter, there's a lessons learned. It's only about 160 pages. There's 40 chapters. So you can guess the chapters are pretty short. and it was designed that way because I'm sort of ADHD. And at the end of every chapter, there's a lesson learned that can be applied to business and then your personal life. And then you go on to the next chapter, and it goes through. I think it's a fascinating read. Of course, I wrote it, so I would believe that. But I think the response to it has been unbelievable. I mean, coaches have gone crazy over it to the point now where we are building a electronic platform to assist coaches in how they can create a kick butt culture. And I'm counseling them. In fact, I just consulted with Bill Drykosen last week. There's going to be the first college program in the country to take on this electronic platform and this strategy. How cool is that?
Wow.
And I'm donating it to Rocky for them to test it for us, really. But they'll be the first college team in America to use this. And we're excited about it, between the book and then the actual electronic platform that we are in the process of developing right now. It's a really exciting time. So it's Christmas time. We also make donation to the V Foundation, basically in my niece's name, because when we sell that book, we want part of the proceeds to go to the V Foundation. So go out to Amazon.com, The Coach and the Geek, Building a Kick Butt Culture by Mark Adams and Jeff Van Fleet. It's like $17.95 for the hard copy. It's under $10 for the Kindle version. And again, part of the proceeds go to the V Foundation to battle cancer.
And of course, you've mentioned Marissa a couple of times, and she's doing wonderful. That's great news, because she had such a struggle, as we all know, Marissa Van Adda. But then to be able to get back on the floor, a couple of years ago, that's just so awesome. And I know that Coach Wes Keller just loved her to death. So, and we all do.
Yeah, we all do. And she's married now to Matt Jones. He's a great guy. I love him. I tease him all the time that he better take care of her, else I'm coming back to Billings to kick his butt. Although he could kill me, by the way. He's a stud. He's an absolute stud. But I love him. And Marissa and Matt are just moving into their brand new home in Billings. Wow. I mean, it's just a wonderful, wonderful story. She's involved in services with RBC with her father, Larry. She's taken all of her tests. She'll be a broker soon. And Marissa, I love you. I'm proud of you. And she also has an endowed scholarship. So between the Adams and the Van Attas, we are dominating the scholarship scene at Rocky Mountain College, which is very cool.
That is very, very cool. I have a lot of respect for what they've done down at Rocky the last few years, and I'm not calling Carroll games anymore, but always appreciated going down there and being at the Fortin Center. It's just a great environment for basketball, and those students. I mean, you guys, I guess, started it in the '80s, and those students are wild now.
Yeah, the bleacher creatures were just very quickly. I don't know how much time we have, but very, very quickly. We had the football team was just crazy. And they would dress up in these wild outfits. Well, one of the kids, I remember his name was Timmy King. And Timmy had a pet tarantula. Not only did he have a pet tarantula, but he also had a belt with a plastic case that he could put the tarantula in. Oh. And back then, the bleacher creatures would come in, and they may have been slightly lubed up, by the way. And they would come in, and they would march all the way around the court, okay? And then they would stop underneath the opposition's basket while they were going through the layup line, and Timmy King would take the tarantula out, and it would be crawling on him. You've never seen a more intimidated group of basketball players, just running away from Timmy King and the tarantula in the Fortin Center. It was the best. I mean, and listen, and Jason, listen, this was the Wild West in the 80s. You'd get away with a little more than you could now. I encouraged every single thing.
I'm sure.
All right? Oh, yeah. Because I was only 25, 26. I wasn't much older than these guys,
right.
So we all thought we were indestructible, and it was the most intimidating gymnasium in Montana, maybe in the country. It was nuts. That's absolutely nuts. That's
better than the Cameron Crazies at Duke.
Oh, yeah. Those guys are amateurs compared to what we did at Rocky in the 80s.
I love it. Hey, I appreciate the time. It's always good to catch up ever since we met in Billings a couple of years ago for the national tournament. Yep. And it's always a pleasure to chat with you. I'm looking forward to reading the book. Thank you again. The Coach and the Geek. Go to Amazon.com. Mark Adams, appreciate it. And stay safe. I've had the COVID, but I've recovered, and I seem to be doing better. But it's for real. So keep yourself safe, my friend.
Well, listen, you always come on air so well prepared, and I always feel so comfortable visiting with you. That's not an easy thing to do as an interviewer. So keep up the great work, Jason. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that. We'll talk to you soon, sir.
Bye-bye.
That is Mark Adams. He's great. That story about the tarantula, though. Oh, my gosh. I mean, is there anywhere else like that? I mean, we know how awesome the Cameron Crazies are at Duke, but a tarantula crawling around. Go to Amazon.com. Get his book. Check him out. Enthusi Adams on the Twitter. Take a quick break. We're going to come back and check in down at Fort Worth, Texas. Becky Christensen-Mapston joins us next. Jason Walker Show. Hang on. Jason Walker here, and I want to tell you about a great place that's going to make you feel better in just an hour. Ocean Spirit Massage. From deep tissue to hot stone and more, Ocean Spirit Massage will get your sore, tired muscles feeling like new. Whether you overdid it working out, hiking the hills, playing golf, whatever it is, or even if you're pregnant, you will walk away feeling better than you have in years. Book now for yourself or make it a couples massage. And gift certificates are always available as well. Visit oceanspiritmassage.com or call 417-0542. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show.
New vehicles keep coming, and Capital Collision Center keeps earning certifications to repair them. They're Helena's newest GM-certified facility. No matter the make or year, they repair your car to manufacturer's standards and requirements, maintaining its safety and value. Montana state law says it's your vehicle and it's your choice where you have it repaired. Choose Capital Collision Center, certified in GM, Subaru, and Nissan, and Helena's only shop certified in Honda, Acura, and Ford. When you value safety, go to Capital Collision Center on Euclid.
Welcome back, Jason Walker Show. This segment brought to you by Mark LaRoe Photography. Mark's calendars are out. They are fantastic. He is one of the most awesomest photographers in the state of Montana, and really anywhere. And he's got scenic landscapes of Montana and also cowboys of western Montana. You can go to marklaroephotography.com and get your calendars. Great, great Christmas presents. Not going to keep our next guest waiting too long. We've already kept her waiting, but she joins us via the phone from somewhere between Fort Worth and Arlington, Texas, and her name is Becky Christensen-Mapston. How are you?
I'm good, Jason. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. We've been trying to get you on the show for a little bit now because rodeo schedules are busy, but you're doing something awesome down in Fort Worth. And before we talk about the rodeo and stuff, what are you doing down there?
Well, I'm actually somewhere between Fort Worth and Stephenville, Texas.
Okay.
And and it's a beautiful 69 and the sun is setting. So it has been warm down here. It's wonderful. It's a nice trade off from winter weather in the Pacific Northwest. But my Aunt Vicky lives down here in Granbury, and it just happened to work out this year with the finals being down here from about 2014 till 2018. My aunt and I hosted a show at Cowboy Roping Marketplace in Mandalay Bay every year in Las Vegas, and that was off of our podcast that we did for many, many years called Tucson Country. And so after 2018, I got really busy with the Columbia River Circuit and everything I was doing over there, so we took a hiatus, worked on a pet project that I have that we can talk about later, but we're doing a little segment at the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame called Cowboy Boots and Rodeo Boots, because with the finals being here in Dallas for the first time since 1959, or I guess 1961, it was here for those 3 years. My grandfather, her dad, was one of the first stock contractors that came to the NFR, and he was also a pickup man. So it's pretty. There's a lot of history, a lot of legacy, a lot of roots that go in there. So we're just interviewing those that are still here and with us and sharing their stories, because their stories are our stories. And just highlighting all the great things that happened in the first year and how far we've come now, despite even with COVID, we're able to have an NFR.
Which is really cool, Becky, too, because, and I know I did a poll and everybody unanimously voted that it's got to stay in Vegas after this year, but everybody can agree that Arlington, DFW, they've all come together to put on a great show in really short time. And, I mean, they've done a nice job for Globe Life Field.
Absolutely, and Globe Life Field. Now, I've been both at AT&T and Globe Life. I was at the American a few years back, and that was a massive event center to hold a rodeo in. And then you add Globe Life Field in, and it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. My husband and I attended on the first night for our anniversary, and I really thought at first maybe there wasn't that many people there, but when you sit down and you look around and you look how deep and how high that stadium is, there was a lot of people there, and they did a great job despite COVID and everything with the social distancing and the masking, and everybody was following protocol. But yeah, it's been an interesting year. The rodeo is great. The arena is huge, and you can see everything. My husband likened it to when he used to ride broncs. He likened it to the Houston rodeo.
Oh, okay.
So, we thank Texas. We thank Fort Worth and Dallas for being able to put it on. And it definitely has its uniqueness. But again, the NFR tone belongs in Vegas.
I completely agree. Becky Christensen-Mapston joining us. By the way, happy anniversary. It was, just a couple of days ago. And your husband, Gray. So what's the relation to Ryan? Because we all know Ryan on the cowboy circuit as well.
Yeah. Gray and Ryan are brothers. Gray is his older brother. And Ryan was the 1997 World Reserve Bronc riding champion. And he and Gray both rode bronc. Gray just also back in the day was doing a lot of horse racing, loping, training stuff. So Ryan is definitely in a whole map family. They're well known within Montana. Amber, their sister, is down here in Stephenville and is married to Randy Schmetz. And she was Miss Rodeo Montana, and I think she was third runner-up at Miss Rodeo America. So they're homesteaders. They are well known, and that is why you see me in Montana. And why I moved over here, because when I married the Mapstons, there was no taking Gray out of Montana.
that is very true. Because you're from Oregon and you did a lot of work with the Columbia River Circuit, like you said. Take me through this last summer, because all the circuits have had issues with the lack of rodeos, and the fact that we even got to an NFR is just impressive as heck. But it was a struggle for all of the circuits this year.
Oh, it was a complete struggle, and it's hard not, even as a girl, it's hard not to get emotional, because I'm really tied to both the Pacific Northwest. I was born and raised in Roseburg, Oregon. My roots are in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, now in Montana. And so to watch this season just slowly fall apart, we knew in March that our first rodeo, which was Redmond, the High Desert Stampede, was going to get canceled, obviously, because it was right in the heat of it. But we thought, come June, come summer, we'll be out of the woods and we'll be rodeoing. But they just kept knocking off. And I think at least for our circuit, the Columbia River Circuit, and our team, our first rodeo was actually in Big Fork, Montana, because Big Fork is co-sanctioned rodeo with the Columbia River Circuit. So that was the first time our circuit cowboys got to get out and ride and rope and actually experience a little bit of the normalcy of rodeo. And then, of course, you had Libby, and I think those were the two sanctioned rodeos that they had up here in Montana. But our circuit ended up maybe two rodeos out of 54 in our circuit. So it was tough. And the same with California, First Frontier, all those, and I hate to say it, but all those tax states on the coast were really hit hard. So Texas seemed to be where everybody went. And I know in talking with my contestants at the rodeos and at circuit finals, it was really just a matter of finding the rodeos to go to. Everybody was competing at every rodeo, so it made winning that much tougher because there was that many more people entered. And of course, they were traveling a whole lot further to win a lot less money. So it was definitely a unique year, but the fact that the PRSA was able to come up with a $6 million purse and do the things that they did, it really is phenomenal.
Becky Christensen-Mapston, our guest here, Jason Walker, Show on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. I had world champ, tie-down champ from last year, Haven Medjid, on, and he said that, like, you drive, normally, he went from, they said, someplace in, like, Nevada to Montana overnight, like, 20-hour drive, and they passed 5 cities that they normally would have stopped at because they didn't have rodeos. And, you're looking at so much travel. Nobody's making any money. I know what the numbers say with the top 15, but there's not money being made with those guys and gals.
And what's funny? Just a little bit of history. We interviewed yesterday on our show Clyde Frost, Lane Frost's dad, and he was at the 1959, 60, and then he was out in 61, but then was at the finals in the Saddle Bronc and bareback riding there in Los Angeles for the next 2 years. Their total earnings were $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 back in those years. So when you're looking at the numbers now, and we're saying that's even right now, the numbers are low and it's pretty much cut in half, and you're looking at anywhere from $45,000 to $80,000. That just goes to show you how much and how far rodeos come, and even despite COVID. So it's been a tough year round, and I don't think a lot of people understand that if these cowboys that are full-time cowboys aren't rodeoing, they're not providing for their family. And so it's not just shiny lights and arena and having fun in the arena. It's their job, it's work, and they need to make a living just as much as anyone else.
Well, and two, and I talked to Will Rasmussen earlier in the year about this in March, was the stock contractors that had to sell stock because it just costs too much. If they're not bucking, they're not making money. And, so it was just sad all the way around across the country in rodeo. And, of course, here in Montana, we felt it. The Columbia River Circuit really felt it, too. And it's just frustrating. Becky Christensen-Mapston joining us, Jason Walker Show, while she drives somewhere. So Stephenville, Texas, that's the home of, like, everybody. Like Trevor Brazil, like all these guys, right?
Yeah, there's a sign when you drive into Stephenville that says "Home of the Champions," and there's a little Lone Star Arena, and it doesn't matter what day of the week it is loaded up with either barrel racing trailers or roping trailers. So there's always something going on. And yes, if you're in the Northwest and that's where your home is, you're here in the winter.
Right.
So it's a great place. It's a great place to rope. It's a great hub close to a lot of different ropings that are out here in the hill country or whatever they call it down here. And it's beautiful and it's warm. So yeah, I don't blame them. But yeah, everybody. Charlie Crawford's here. He's a Northwest guy. Tyson Durfee's down here. Oh my goodness, who else? Oh, when I first moved my daughter down here, and I went to Walmart, and I watched someone walk by me, and I looked at him and I said, "What? Is that Clint Corey?" So I yelled out. I said, "Hey, Clint!" And he turns around and I said, "Clint Corey?" He's like, "Oh my gosh, Becky, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you live here." And so world champion bareback rider Clint Corey's down here. So I mean, you're bound and running into somebody down here that knows a little something about sides and roping and rodeo. So
Well, and I think Haven Medja just bought a place down there too. So from Miles City,
it won't surprise me.
That's where you got to be. That's where you got to be.
No, Curtis Cassidy's down here. I know that's where Jesse Brown and Blake Knowles were warming up for their trip over to Arlington. And yeah, my cousin who just moved down here from Oklahoma, bull rider Brett Custer, he's down here. Yeah, a little bit of everything. And I gotta tell you, Haven, little sharp guy that he is, man, he can rope some calves. I have been watching the calf roping this year, but I'll tell you what, you better keep drawing Corey Solomon because he is snuck in there, and I think he's sitting third right now.
And I talked to a lady the other day on my show about this, and it's really cool to have two African Americans, and we know how great Fred Whitfield was, another Texas guy.
Yep.
But because Caleb Schmidt tested positive for COVID, Corey slid into that 15 spot, and he's taking making the most of it. But him and Shad Mayfield, and with the way that this country has been this year, and too with Oregon and Washington and all of that, to have two African American cowboys in the NFR right now says a lot about the world of rodeo and how we are a family.
Oh yes, and we have two young saddlebronc riders on our circuit, the K brothers, Luke, and I can't think of the other brother right now. But yeah, I always say when people ask me about our culture and our way of life, we don't judge people by the color of their skin, we judge them by the character and the content of the person that they are. And so it doesn't matter where you come from. You want to get on a horse and ride, you want to rope, and you want to whatever you want to do. By golly, go do it. Because more power to you. And so I think it's great because I personally feel, and it's kind of the mission of my platform and everything I stand for, our heritage matters, and it's been under attack. And, it's the platform that I ran on when I was in Montana America in 2018. It's the platform that I'll continue to support, and that we have to protect our heritage and our culture. And I'm very especially, personally, just love the fact that Montana, I always say, where cows outnumber people 9 to 1, I'm pretty protective of the rural communities and the culture that we have.
Speaking of roping, which we were just talking about, the first ever national finals for breakaway roping. And this is a cool deal for women. And I know the barrel racing's been there forever, but when you look at an NRA rodeo or a lot of PRCA rodeos added breakaway this year, or especially the college and high school circuits, goat tying, breakaway, and even team roping, and aside from barrel racing, we're seeing more and more women, and this is an opportunity to really stand out. And Jackie Crawford wins it, even after giving up calling a penalty on herself yesterday. And what a great time for women in rodeo.
Oh yes, and in fact, I was talking with Gail Warner. She's a rodeo historian. She was a guest on our show. She has just recently finished a book that's currently in printing about the history of women and professional rodeo barrel racing, and the original, where that all came from and how it came to be. And it was actually something I learned. It was called the sponsor race when it first came out, and you really couldn't even go past the grand barrel. So the fact that barrel racing has come as far as it has over the years, and then to see breakaway roping really just make an impact. Jennifer Casey, she's in my circuit in the Columbia River Circuit, and she's one of the founding members that really got behind to get this push to get it into these PRCA rodeos. And when I talked to her in Standpoint last summer, she said, I'd love to see this at the NFR. It'd be a great addition. And I asked her, I said, when do you think you'll see it, and we'll see women at, in the breakaway roping at the NFR? She goes, I'm going to say 2024, 2025. So I think she missed the mark by just a hair, because I don't think she really knew how much momentum it would be, because women needed an outlet. Women needed more than just barrel racing to be able to really have a full-time career. And so I'm super proud of them. Jackie Crawford being 6 months pregnant, riding a 15-year-old board, and I think she won the average by she would have given up like $3 if her and the other gal that she was, running against would have beat her. So, I mean, the margins were tight, but she pulled it out. And, she's one of the founding members as well, too. So just kudos to the women, because we are definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, absolutely, Becky. And is there a chance that we'll see NFR expand and include breakaway? And when would we see a woman competing in team roping in the NFR?
I don't think it's that far off to see it now. I mean, women can compete. There was a gal out of, I think she's she's Canadian, in the saddle bronc riding. She was real competitive in the PRC. I can't think of her name right now. I know on the Columbia River Circuit when I was younger, when my dad and family were still supplying stock to rodeos, Vicky Beck was a bareback rider. I mean, women are in there, just not as affluent as you are. You don't see them very often.
Right.
But it's really going to be what they want to do and what they don't want to do. With the two different sanctioning bodies, it's just a matter of, with rodeos, the rodeos themselves have to write it into the ground rules. And if they write it into the ground rules, then, the women are welcome to be there. But I would think, I'm going to stick with what Jennifer Casey said, 2024, 2025. I think had this been a normal year in Vegas, if they can keep that event at a 2 hour to 2.5 hour event, it won't be long before it'll be in the performance
That would just be awesome. And, I look at the college where, Michaela Witter from Helena Capital, who's now down at Western, and she just was at a big roping. And you look at the Rasmussen girls, Paige and Shelby, and there's just unbelievable ropers. And that's what they're moving away from. Girls are in juniors in high school. They're moving a lot away from, the pole bending and the goat tying and stuff, but getting into more of the roping. And you're seeing college teams that are both women, and I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, my cousin Keely was, I can't remember, it was 2000, but she was WPRA team roping world champion. So they're out there, they're doing it. It's just with the two different sanctioning bodies and the PRCA ground rules being written, and each event, you submit your approvals to the PRCA for your rodeo, whether you're in the Montana circuit or the Columbia circuit, whatever circuit you're in. It's all about what the directors of the rodeo side of those ground rules. And I think that's where Jennifer Casey has really worked with the Columbia River Circuit Rodeo, pitching this idea of having breakaway roping. And what it ends up doing, and I think what's really helping it, to be honest, is breakaway roping is giving the fans another view of tie-down roping without the full tie-down roping. So it's a great offset to the tie-down roping, which has been under so much scrutiny over the years because of animal rights activists and so forth, which is silly, but nonetheless, it is a fact. And so I think it's a great add-on to any rodeo that's looking for, maybe they don't have a specialty act, but they add in breakaway roping, and there's something else to give their fans to watch. It's all about putting the best in the team.
Another final question or two for you. I appreciate your time. Becky Christensen-Mapston joining us. She's driving between Stephenville and Fort Worth, Texas as we speak. I don't want to call them political statements for the opening ceremonies, but they've all had a great theme, and I think the PRCA has really gone and done a great job with its opening ceremonies this year. We get to see them, which is even better for those of us not there. But what's your thoughts on the opening ceremonies and some of the statements that have been made?
I think they're hitting it out of the park. I think they're we in the Western world, I'd like to believe the majority of us are conservative patriots, and we love our country, and we're all about our military and our police. We back the blue, and At the same time, we love and respect and are respecters of all people, but we're not going to be silent. And we're going to show the sporting industry that we don't cave to any political party. We are who we are, and we'll always be who we're going to be. And we're going to salute our flag. We're going to say our prayers, and we're going to shake hands and say thank you to our military and our first responders. And we're not going to apologize for it.
That's I can't even add anything better. That just makes complete sense. I've showed a couple of them on the show here, and the one the other night was the video they showed, the 3-minute video about why we stand at rodeos, and it was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Was that the one with Anthony Lucia doing that one?
I think so.
I don't know if he did the voiceover on that one. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong, because really in this climate that we're living in, you've seen it in the NBA, the ratings are down. You're seeing it even in football. You know, you've got the back and forth wishy-washiness of stand, don't stand, kneel, don't kneel, in the locker room, not in the locker room. It's that famous saying, you either stand for something or you fall for anything. And I think PRCA is making it very clear where we stand.
Well, they've done a great job. I have enjoyed watching the first 7 nights. You got round 8 coming up tonight, and it's going to be even more fun to watch. If you can, send a message.
How did Montana get Richie champion? That's what I want to know. That friggin' rally pulled him. I was like, oh, that's right. He moved to Stevensville.
Well, because his wife from Canada, and so she wanted to be closer to home, and Kayla Bennett was already there, so Richie moved over.
Yeah, I realized. I'm like, oh, that's right. They were down in south of Missoula there for the Brigham Rally in Stevensville, and they just decided they'd stay. I get it. I mean, Montana's a beautiful place. I want to stay too. That's why I did. Well,
and Richie's good friends with Jesse Davis, who had to retire. Unfortunately, the way he had to retire, but he's doing great, which is better. They sewed up his stomach a couple weeks ago, so he's doing well.
That little stinker, he went out in 2000, I don't know if it was 18 or 19. I think it's 2019. He was supposed to retire. And them Cowboys, they just can't stay retired. It's always it's a thought. It's never really a full action until they're forced to. So I'm glad Jesse's good. I'm glad he's safe. Last time I talked to him, he just won Spokane, and he was done after the season. So I hated seeing what happened to him. I hated hearing about it. I'm just glad he's okay. And rodeo's not an easy sport, that's for sure. No. Well, you mentioned retiring and never going away. I mean, Trevor Brazil retired 4 years ago, and he's still fourth in the world now in all around for steer roping. Yeah.
Go away, Trevor.
I'm not going to go full bore, but I'll let someone else win the calf roping. I'll just stick over here to the steer roping.
Yeah.
So, hey, kudos to him. I mean, that's why they call him the king of the Cowboys. But I tell you what, Stetson Wright's coming up behind him. So, I mean, that's pretty exciting. I'm kind of one of them old-fashioned girls. I was raised, when Ty Murray was the world all-around champion, and he worked both into the arenas. And all-around works both into the arenas, which, 90% of these Cowboys have at some point. So they're really pretty much all-around. But Stetson's really just, wow.
21 years old. Well, that whole Wright family, Becky, is unbelievable. And, I mean, you had you had Cody and Jesse and Jake, and then now you've got Rusty and Ryder and Stetson, and there's more forgetting. Another great all-around champ, I think, Dan Mortensen from Montana, too.
Yeah, Dan rode about the same time Gray and Ryan did. It was always the Ed Bauer boys, the Mapston boys, and the Mortensen. Yep. So class acts in their own right, that's for sure.
And then you got Deb Greeno. You throw him into the mix, and man.
Oh yeah. Montana's got some great cowboys and great cowgirls, and I'd like to say, personally, the Pacific Northwest, Montana included, that is the West. So I think you find a lot of them up here.
That is, there's no question about that. Will you get a message to Lisa and tell her not to hit a barrel tonight, please?
Yes, I will. My daughter actually went to and sat with her family at the finals because I feel the same. So she's in cons. I'll tell them, say, Montana says quit hitting barrels.
Yeah, she's hit 5 in the last 2 nights, and that's so uncharacteristic.
It is. I don't know what's going on. It could be a newer, a lot of those horses are really used to the Thomas and Mack. Yeah. You know what to expect. And they also travel to a lot of rodeos and a lot of arenas. So I know that third barrel there looked a little slick the first couple nights, but I think at this point in time, everybody
let me ask you this real quick before I let you go. They're raking in between halfway through. That's not happened at the NFR before, and at least to my knowledge. Why this year starting it? Is it because it's a bigger arena and more standard pattern?
I think personally because they do, I believe, have breakers. No, they don't even have breakers at Thomas and Mack because Amberly always saying how her and Paige would get out there, and if she was at the bottom of the list, she always had to dig out of one of those. I can't remember the second or third, but I can only figure. I don't really know the answer to that. I can only figure in watching how it was set up that underneath that dirt is a layer of possibly plastic covering over the grass. And I don't know if that's real grass or AstroTurf, so I don't know if that's why they're doing it, because I don't know if they saw that first night, that third barrel was really slick. So I don't know if it's really soft ground and you're hitting that layer where they've got the protections down. I don't really know the answer to that, but yeah, they are raking up for sure. And as long as they're taking care of it and making sure those horses okay, that's what's most important, because one of those horses, if they hit wrong and go down, they're done.
That is absolutely true. By the way, real quick, we stole one more from Texas. We got Haley Kinsel after she married Jesse Lockwood. Yeah.
Wow.
Jake
but
Lockwood.
you know they're not married anymore.
Oh, they're not?
No.
When did that happen?
You know, when you have a 23-year-old, you find out things real quick. so yeah.
So she's back in Texas now. Okay.
She's back in Texas now. That's why she took Kinsel back as the last name, and she is smoking her. And then, of course, is it Emily with Chongo?
Yep, Emily Miller.
Those two are neck and neck. So, you know, there's a lot of good barrel racers. I was really cheering for Amberly. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. No, not Amberly Moore. Cheyenne Wimberly. Sorry, yeah, Wimberly, Amberly. I keep saying it wrong. But yeah, so I was just, and Lisa. But, you know, Haley, man, she is just smoking them, you know, every time she comes out of the arena. And then last night, watching Emily hit is just 0.2 of a second faster. I was like, oh, my gosh, the time's just getting faster. But that's how it kind of is in those timed events. I mean, it's the same in the steer wrestling.
Yep.
Steer wrestling has been phenomenal this year watching it.
Yep. And no Ty Erickson there, which is crazy. But
I know. And what happened with Ty? Did he get hurt or something? Did he just not? I mean,
I just don't think he went as hard this year. Yeah, he was working construction in the spring, so he didn't rodeo hard. You know, he just got married 2 years ago, so
yeah. And it's been a weird year all around. I mean, a lot of our cowboys. The fact that we even have 7 of the NFL is amazing. We could have had more. I know Levi Gray was kind of there on he's still sitting 16th, and he sat 10th for the longest time from the winter run. So, you know, it's been an interesting mix of cowboys and cowgirls there this year. I don't know what it'll look like next year, but I'm excited. I like all the mixture this year. It's neat to see these young guns step up. You look at the bull riding and all these rookies. I've really been rooting for Kai because he's a great kid.
Yep.
Talked him up in Big Fork and just humble as humble can get, and loves bull riding. So yeah, it's just been an interesting. I look forward to watching the rodeo, and I think that we got about 25 minutes, and we're ready to go again.
Yeah, I know, and I just every time you answer a question, it brings up another question for me. Why does Kai Hamilton have a Southern accent from Australia?
Because he's down here in northern Texas right now.
I heard his interview with Donnie
right?
Gay the other day, and I'm like, he must be from Southern Australia, like Jesse Davis. He's from Southern Utah, but he's got that drawl, and it's absolutely nuts how quick you pick it up when you're on that circuit forever.
Oh yeah, you get to saying y'all real quick. Well, then of course, if you're around Donnie Gay for any length of time, you'll start picking up an accent.
It is so good to have him back, by the way, on the coverage.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very good. Yep. And we're excited. Tomorrow, our show, we have another world champion from 1974, Jeff Copenhaver.
Oh yeah.
He lives down here in Stephenville, and he's my husband's best friend. He's going to join us on the show, talk about living down here. And his dad was here in 1959. Dad Copenhaver. He was world champion Saddle Blanc 55, 56, right there with Casey Tibbs. Traveled with him. So it's really been it's really been interesting, despite COVID, to see how many of those long lifer lovers of rodeo, ex-competitors, retired competitors are here still supporting the NFR, despite the risks and despite whatever's going on in the world. They're here, and I think that's pretty great. Pretty great.
Two names I wish we were seeing more: Lindsay Sears and Sarah Rose McDonald. And Sarah Rose is now married, or what? I don't know if they still are. To the steer wrestler.
Yeah, and Lindsay Sears. I thought I saw her this summer. But,
oh, sweet.
You know, the thing is, though, is here's the deal. I know with the barrel racing, especially like in the Columbia River Circuit, even though we had 2-3 rodeos, again, like I was talking about with the ground rules and the rodeo approval, we had 2 rodeos in the Columbia River Circuit, but one of them that was able to hold Lakeview didn't have barrel racing, never do have barrel racing. So our girls didn't get to go. So again, it's been a really interesting year. I'm just praying to to God and everyone that next year gets a little bit more normal. And I think if we can adhere to and get through this COVID stuff, I'm thinking 2021 summer will be all right. I
hope so. I got to have you on again because this is awesome.
Absolutely.
Seriously, you're just a wealth of knowledge. So is there a way people can watch your stuff?
Sure. If you go to, it's all going to be on Facebook, and of course, it's on any of our should be on any of our sponsor channels. But our Facebook page is just CB Promos, PROMOS, CB Promos, or just our personal Facebook pages. Rodeo Roundup should have it posted, and I'm pretty sure American Hack should have it posted on their page too.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please go watch it.
Yes, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you were driving safe. Probably made the drive a little bit more bearable because then you're not listening to music and chatting with whoever.
It worked out great. I just pulled in and up to my daughter's house.
There you go.
It has arrived, so this works great.
There you go. Becky Christensen-Mapston. You can check her out, CB Promos on the Facebook. Appreciate your time and enjoy the final couple of go-rounds, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jason. Have a good night.
You too. That is Becky Christensen-Mapston joining us. Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. Yeah, we're running over. It's okay. It's our show. We can do that. Good stuff to learn, though. That was awesome. And Becky, we'll do a That's What She Said, brought to you by Dinner's Done Right. Make sure you stop by Dinner's Done Right and get all of your weekend food or all of your necessities for the next few weeks at Dinner's Done Right. Unbelievable. Call ahead. Tell them what you want. They'll make it. That's on the menu. And for menus, go to dinnersdoneright.com. All right, on this day in history, it is December the 10th, the Dewey Decimal System Day. Because on this day in 1851, Melville Dewey, American librarian and educator, was born. Created the Dewey Decimal System for libraries. It is Human Rights Day. It is Nobel Prize Day. Alfred Nobel, 1896, died. But he also founded the Nobel Prize ceremony on this date and also invented dynamite. It is National Lager Day. Let's see here. A couple of quick ones. 1919, the National League voted to ban spitball by all new pitchers. You had Australian Women's Open. Martina Navratilova in 1983 wins her 8th career Grand Slam singles title. A couple of deaths on this day. Walter Johnson, the big train, died of a brain tumor in 1946. Adolph Rupp, the legendary Kentucky coach, passed away on this date in 1977. Chet Huntley was born in Cardwell, Montana on this date in 1911, the NBC newscaster, Huntley Brinkley Report, and started Big Sky, basically. And let's see, 1768, the first number of the Encyclopedia Britannica was published in Edinburgh, Scotland. There you go. I got to get all the way back up to here to do, where are we at? Here we go, this.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
The walk-off is brought to you by Cafe Zydeco. Had a great show today, and normally we end at 5, but today we went a little bit over. And you know what? That's okay, because we had some fantastic guests, thanks to Mark Adams, Trevor Funseth, Becky Christensen-Mapston. If you missed anything, you can go to jasonwalkershow.com and rewatch or re-listen. We'll give you the day sheet real quick for tonight. And let's see here. Montanan Richie Champion is going to be on Northcott Masca's OLS Tubbs Spilled Perfume. That is in the bareback tonight, which gets started here in about a half an hour. And let's see, Mason Clements from Utah is on Mental Illness from Sankey, Pro Rodeo and Phenom Genetics. Sankey has had some amazing stock this year. Well, they do every year, but it's been fun to watch down there. Saddle Bronc tonight, Chase Brooks looks like he's first out, and he'll be on Indian Burn from Bridwell Pro Rodeos. A couple of other great horses out tonight in the Bronc. Kid Rock from Brookman. You have Miss Ellie from Frontier is out. Zaka Kibitz, Tiger Warrior from the Calgary Stampede. I mean, we're talking some great Broncs tonight. Robin Hood from Sankey is in the re-ride. In bull riding, some of the bulls out tonight. Let's see. Pickup Man is a good one. Diddy Wah Diddy from Andrews had a great run the other night. Chiseled from Powder River. You also have 3 guys out. Trevor Kastner, Parker McCowan still out. They were out last night and tonight. And adding into that, Tyler Bingham. Now, Tyler Bingham was knocked out cold last night in the bull riding. He actually stayed on the ground for a while. And it was it was not a good situation for Tyler Bingham. And I saw today that Justin Falisco from who does a lot of stuff with the PBR texted with Tyler Bingham today, and Tyler texted back and said he was doing okay. He was still in the ICU, but he had 6 or 7 broken ribs, and trying to find that post again from Justin Falisco, and 6 or 7 broken ribs. Here we go. Found it. Broken sternum, broken left clavicle, and bruising of both lungs and his heart. But he's gonna make it. So he's out at least tonight and tomorrow, they said. I'm guessing he is done for the NFR for the 2020. But best wishes to Tyler Bingham, man. It was quite the wreck last night, and he should be he's going to be doing a lot better. There's no doubt about that. But that's the price you pay for bull riding sometimes, and it's a scary situation when guys get hurt. But yeah, because he got stepped on, and it was just I think we have the video of it, which we'll get to as soon as it pulls up here in a second, maybe. Anyway, yeah, here we go. Courtesy of PRCA and the Cowboy Channel, RFD TV. By the way, the coverage has gotten a lot better. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking to Jeff Metters, the voice of the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo on television, sitting there with Butch Knowles. But we'll talk to Jeff Metters tomorrow. Also, Rody Demers from Phillipsburg will join us. He is a great youngster and just took second in the all-around at the Junior National Finals Rodeo. This is Tyler Bingham's ride last night, and you could see he got rocked pretty good. And as you watch it, it was we watched it live last night, and it was scary. But we'll talk to Rody Demers tomorrow.
The bull can't make up his mind which way he wants to go, but he comes down. But he hit that horn on the way down, so he was out before he actually is flat on the ground. See if we can watch it. Boom! Right there. He's knocked out. Misses one leg. Oh, stepped right on his chest.
That bull stepped on his sternum and clavicle and broke it. Crazy. But Tyler Bingham's going to be okay. So round 8 coming up tonight down there in Arlington. The walk-up brought to you by Cafe Zydeco. We told you, tomorrow, Jeff Metters, Rody Demers will join us. Thanks to the MOP, Trevor Funseth, Mark Adams, Becky Christensen-Mapston. If you missed anything, go to jasonwalkershow.com. We'll have that uploaded soon. Monday, TV's Robin will join us. Burt Ward. That's right. We're going to talk to the original Robin on the Jason Walker Show coming up on Monday. But join us tomorrow as we wrap up the week. Jeff Metters, Rody Demers. Jason Walker Show is presented by Capital Collision Center. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you back here for a fantastic Friday at 4.
Was produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.